Brothers, what you're about to discover will change everything you thought you knew about the Sigma male journey. While the world sees confidence, independence, and unwavering strength, there's a hidden reality that every true Sigma faces. 9 silent battles that rage within the depths of our minds, unseen by the masses but felt with crushing intensity by those who walk this solitary path. You've chosen the Sigma way because you refuse to bow to societal expectations, because you value authenticity over acceptance, and because you understand that true power comes from within. But with great independence comes great internal warfare. These aren't the obvious struggles that betas complain about or alphas boast about conquering. These are the invisible conflicts that shape the very core of who we are as Sigma males. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the psychological battlefield that every Sigma male navigates daily, from the crushing weight of perpetual self-reliance to the paradox of craving connection while guarding our solitude. These battles define our existence more than any external challenge ever could. If you've ever felt like you're fighting wars that nobody else can see, if you've wondered why the Sigma path feels both empowering and isolating, then this video will be your roadmap to understanding and conquering these internal struggles. And if this resonates with your Sigma journey, make sure to subscribe to Official Sigma Male, because we're the only channel that truly understands the depth of what you're experiencing and provides the tools to not just survive, but thrive in your Sigma evolution. The isolation paradox. The first and perhaps most devastating silent battle every Sigma male faces is what I call the isolation paradox, a psychological war between your need for solitude and your human need for connection. This isn't the simple loneliness that others experience. This is far more complex and infinitely more challenging. Picture this. You've just closed a major business deal, achieved a personal milestone, or overcome a significant obstacle. The natural human response is to share this victory, to celebrate with others, to feel the warmth of recognition. But as a Sigma male, something inside you pulls back. You feel the urge to retreat, to process this success in solitude, to maintain the independence that defines your very essence. Yet simultaneously, a deeper part of you yearns for someone who truly understands the magnitude of what you've accomplished. This is the isolation paradox in action. You've trained yourself to be self-sufficient, to find validation from within, to operate independently of external approval. These are Sigma strengths that have served you well. But the human brain is wired for connection, and when you consistently deny this wiring, it creates an internal tension that can slowly erode your mental foundation. The paradox manifests in multiple ways throughout your daily life. You excel in leadership positions because you can make decisions without needing consensus, yet you often feel disconnected from the teams you lead. You prefer deep, meaningful conversations over small talk, but when someone actually engages you at that level, you find yourself guarding your responses, sharing just enough to satisfy the interaction while protecting your inner world. Consider the Sigma male entrepreneur who builds a successful company. He makes every critical decision alone, trusts his instincts over market research, and creates something truly innovative. But late at night, when the office is empty and the accolades have faded, he sits alone with his thoughts, wondering if anyone truly understands the weight he carries, the vision he pursues, or the sacrifices he's made. He wants connection, but not at the cost of his independence. He craves understanding, but fears that opening up will somehow diminish his Sigma nature. This battle becomes even more intense in our hyper-connected digital age. Social media promises connection but delivers superficial interaction. You see others posting their achievements, their relationships, their seemingly perfect lives. And while you logically understand the curated nature of these posts, there's still a part of you that wonders if you're missing something by choosing the Sigma path. The isolation paradox also creates what I call connection anxiety. When genuine opportunities for deep connection arise, whether romantic, platonic, or professional, you find yourself simultaneously drawn to and resistant to these opportunities. You want the connection, but you fear it will compromise your independence. You desire understanding, but you worry that being truly known will somehow make you vulnerable in ways that contradict your Sigma identity. Here's where it gets really challenging. The very qualities that make you attractive to others, your independence, your mystery, your self-sufficiency, are the same qualities that create barriers to the deep connections your soul craves. People are drawn to your Sigma energy, but when they try to get closer, you instinctively create distance to protect what makes you Sigma in the first place. This paradox can lead to what psychologists call emotional ambivalence, feeling conflicted about your own emotional needs. You might find yourself in situations where you're surrounded by people but feel completely alone. Or conversely, when you're physically alone but feel deeply connected to your purpose and inner world. The isolation paradox also affects how you process emotional experiences. Sigma males tend to internalize both victories and defeats, processing them in solitude rather than seeking external support or celebration. While this builds incredible mental resilience, it can also create an emotional backlog that becomes overwhelming. You become your own therapist, coach, and cheerleader, which is empowering but also exhausting. Many Sigma males try to resolve this paradox by compartmentalizing their lives. They create separate spheres, professional, personal, intimate, and allow different levels of connection in each. While this can be effective, it often leads to feeling fragmented, like you're living multiple versions of yourself, rather than being authentically whole. The solution isn't to abandon your need for solitude or to force yourself into superficial social situations. Instead, it's about understanding that the isolation paradox is actually a sign of your depth and complexity as a human being. The fact that you feel this tension means you're operating on multiple levels of consciousness that most people never even access. The key is learning to navigate this paradox rather than trying to eliminate it. This means becoming comfortable with the discomfort, understanding that the tension between independence and connection isn't a problem to be solved, but a dynamic to be managed. It means recognizing that you can maintain your Sigma identity while also allowing for carefully chosen deep connections that enhance rather than diminish your authentic self. Some of the most successful Sigma males in history have learned to embrace this paradox. They understand that their need for solitude fuels their creativity and decision-making abilities, while their selective connections provide the human element that keeps them grounded and inspired. They don't try to be social butterflies, but they also don't completely isolate themselves from meaningful human interaction. The isolation paradox is your first silent battle because it sets the foundation for all the others. How you handle the tension between independence and connection influences every other aspect of your Sigma journey. Master this paradox, and you're well on your way to mastering yourself. The authenticity burden. The second silent battle cuts to your core. The authenticity burden. This is the crushing weight of being genuinely yourself in a world that rewards masks and pretense. While others slip into roles to fit social situations, you carry the heavy responsibility of remaining true to your inner nature, regardless of the cost. This burden manifests daily when facing a world that doesn't understand you. Society expects you to smile when you don't feel like it, agree to keep peace, conform to make others comfortable. But as a Sigma male, these compromises feel Like soul betrayals, you'd rather lose opportunities than lose yourself. Consider the Sigma male in corporate environments. While colleagues navigate office politics and tell bosses what they want to hear, he speaks truth. His authenticity becomes legendary, but also makes him a target. In social situations, while others laugh at unfunny jokes or express fake enthusiasm, you find yourself unable to fake these responses. Your emotional authenticity confuses people used to predictable male archetypes. You feel deeply but express selectively. You're confident but not boastful. The weight becomes crushing when you realize authenticity often isolates you from opportunities and relationships. The burden also means being a mirror for others. Your genuine nature reflects back their inauthenticity, making them uncomfortable. People either love or resent you for this, but they're rarely indifferent. In our social media age, where authenticity is performed rather than lived, your genuine posts often receive less engagement than crafted content. But understand this, the authenticity burden isn't a curse, it's a calling. Your refusal to compromise makes you a beacon for others struggling with their own authenticity. The burden creates incredible strength because your successes feel genuinely earned without compromising values. The success sabotage cycle. The third silent battle is the success sabotage cycle, the unconscious pattern where you systematically undermine achievements as psychological defense against vulnerabilities that success creates. It's the war between your desire to achieve and need to maintain control. This cycle begins when you set ambitious goals and make significant progress. But as success becomes visible, something triggers an alarm. Success creates dependencies and obligations threatening your independence. Picture the Sigma entrepreneur who refuses to hire staff or accept partnerships that could grow his business, unconsciously sabotaging success because it threatens his freedom. The cycle operates below conscious awareness through seemingly rational decisions that collectively form self-limitation patterns. In relationships, just as things become serious, you create conflicts. In careers, you turn down promotions that increase obligations. You tell yourself you're being strategic, but the underlying motivation is fear of what success might cost. This becomes pronounced when success brings unwanted attention. Sigma males value privacy, but significant success creates visibility. The more successful you become, the more people want access to you. This attention feels intrusive, so you unconsciously make choices keeping you below radar. The cycle also operates through perfectionism, setting impossibly high standards that slow progress, and through diversifying efforts just as one area shows success. Breaking this cycle requires recognizing it exists and understanding you can achieve success while maintaining independence on your own terms. The emotional fortress dilemma. The fourth silent battle is the emotional fortress dilemma, the psychological prison you've built to protect yourself that simultaneously keeps out both pain and genuine connection. This fortress, constructed over years of disappointments and betrayals, becomes both your greatest protection and most limiting constraint. You built this fortress brick by brick. Each disappointment added another layer of protection. The friend who betrayed confidence, the partner who used vulnerabilities against you, the colleague who exploited your openness. Each experience taught you that emotional openness is dangerous, that showing feelings gives others power over you. The fortress serves its purpose well. You're safe from manipulation, protected from exploitation, shielded from others' emotional chaos. You can think clearly and maintain independence. But the same walls keeping out pain also prevent genuine intimacy and authentic connection. You watch life through windows rather than fully participating. This becomes particularly acute in romantic relationships. You attract partners drawn to your mystery and stability, but as relationships deepen, your fortress becomes a barrier to intimacy. They crave. You've become so practiced at emotional self-protection that you've forgotten how to be vulnerable, even when you want to be. The fortress affects how you process emotions. You've become so skilled at compartmentalizing feelings that you lose touch with your emotional reality. You might not realize you're angry until it explodes, or recognize you're hurt until pain manifests physically. The dilemma intensifies during major life transitions that require emotional processing. You find yourself going through significant events with emotional distance that prevents full experience and integration. Breaking down the fortress doesn't mean becoming emotionally chaotic. It means developing emotional differentiation to experience and express emotions appropriately while maintaining healthy boundaries. 5. The perfectionism prison. The 5th silent battle is the perfectionism prison, a psychological cage built from impossibly high standards that drives your excellence while paralyzing your progress. This isn't healthy pursuit of quality. This is pathological need for flawlessness that transforms your greatest strength into your most limiting weakness. This prison masquerades as virtue. While the world celebrates good enough, your demand for excellence seems admirable. But what others don't see is how perfectionism has become sophisticated self-sabotage, keeping you from completing projects and sharing your gifts with the world. The prison manifests in creative and professional endeavors. You start projects with enthusiasm, but as they near completion, perfectionist standards escalate. The book needs one more revision. The business plan requires additional research. What began as pursuit of quality becomes endless refinement, preventing anything from ever being finished. This operates on fear of judgment and criticism. Because Sigma males value competence highly, the thought of producing work that might be criticized feels unbearable. Better to keep refining indefinitely than risk putting imperfect work into the world. Perfectionism transforms from quality standard into avoidance mechanism. The prison affects learning and growth. Perfectionist Sigma males avoid new challenges because they can't guarantee excellent performance from start. You turn down opportunities requiring skills you haven't mastered, preventing the experience necessary to achieve real excellence. Most destructively, the prison affects self-worth. Your value becomes tied to flawless execution rather than efforts or growth. Every imperfection becomes evidence of failure rather than proof of humanity. Breaking free requires distinguishing between excellence, achievable and beneficial, and perfection, impossible and destructive. The trust deficit spiral. The 6th silent battle is the trust deficit spiral, a self-perpetuating cycle where past betrayals create increasingly rigid barriers to trusting others, limiting opportunities for meaningful connection and ultimately reinforcing your belief that trusting others is dangerous. This spiral typically begins early when you first discovered people aren't always what they seem. Early betrayals taught you that trust is vulnerability others will exploit. As a naturally observant person, you began noticing inconsistencies between what people said and did, cataloging experiences as evidence of human unreliability. The spiral accelerates because your Sigma nature makes you particularly sensitive to inauthenticity. Your analytical mind looks for patterns, and the pattern you observe is that people frequently prioritize their own interests over commitments to others. Growing mistrust affects every interaction. When someone offers help, you wonder what they want in return. When colleagues express admiration, you question motives. This defensive mindset protects from some disappointments, but prevents recognizing genuine offers of connection and support. The deficit creates confirmation bias in relationships. Because you expect betrayal, you interpret ambiguous behaviors as evidence of untrustworthiness. Your defensive expectations literally create the evidence you fear finding. Consider the entrepreneur burned by business partners who becomes reluctant to form new partnerships, even when collaborations could exponentially grow his business. His business suffers not from lack of capability, but from lack of trust-based collaboration. Breaking the spiral requires developing calibrated trust, the ability to assess trustworthiness accurately and extend appropriate levels of trust based on evidence rather than fear. This means recognizing trustworthiness isn't binary and learning to make nuanced assessments while maintaining appropriate boundaries. The purpose without validation struggle. The seventh silent battle is the purpose without validation struggle, the internal war between your deep drive to create meaningful impact and the reality that your most important work often goes unrecognized, misunderstood, or actively opposed by a world that doesn't share your vision. As a Sigma male, you're naturally drawn to purposes that transcend personal gain. You want to solve real problems, create lasting value, and leave the world better than you found it. But the work that matters most to you often doesn't align with what society rewards or recognizes. You might spend years developing solutions to problems others don't even recognize exist. You create innovations that are too advanced for current markets. You pursue causes that won't be appreciated until future generations. This creates a profound sense of isolation, working toward purposes that feel deeply meaningful to you but seem invisible or irrelevant to others. The struggle intensifies because Sigma males naturally operate with longer time horizons than most people. While others focus on immediate returns and quick recognition, you're building foundations for changes that might not be visible for decades. This future-focused orientation makes your current work appear pointless to those seeking immediate gratification. Society's validation systems, awards, promotions, social media metrics, public recognition, often reward the wrong things. The flashy, superficial, or politically correct receive attention, while deep, important work remains unnoticed. You watch inferior ideas get celebrated while your profound contributions are ignored. This creates what I call purpose paralysis, the temptation to abandon meaningful but unrecognized work in favor of pursuits that bring easier validation. But compromising your true purpose for external recognition feels like betraying your Sigma nature. The key is understanding that meaningful purpose and external validation often operate on different timelines. Your most important work might not be recognized in your lifetime, but its impact will ripple through generations. Learning to find fulfillment in the work itself rather than in others' recognition of it becomes essential for maintaining your Sigma path. The relationship depth paradox. The eighth silent battle is the relationship depth paradox, the frustrating reality that while you crave deep, meaningful connections, your very nature makes these connections extraordinarily difficult to achieve and maintain. As a Sigma male, you're not interested in superficial relationships. You don't want to waste time on small talk, casual friendships, or relationships based on convenience rather than genuine compatibility. You crave connections that operate at the level of ideas, values, and authentic understanding. But here's the paradox. The same qualities that make you desire depth also make depth difficult to achieve. Your high standards eliminate most potential connections. Your need for authenticity makes others uncomfortable. Your independence can be interpreted as disinterest. Your complexity confuses people looking for simple, predictable relationship dynamics. In romantic relationships, you attract partners initially drawn to your mystery and self-sufficiency, but as they get closer, they often find your depth overwhelming or your independence threatening. They wanted access to your inner world, but when you reveal its complexity, they realize they're not equipped to navigate it. Friendships face similar challenges. While others bond over shared activities or mutual entertainment, you need intellectual and emotional resonance. You need friends who can engage with your ideas, respect your need for solitude, and understand your unconventional perspectives. These people are rare. The paradox creates a cycle of relationship frustration. You enter connections hoping for depth, but often find yourself adapting to others' limitations. You either compromise your authentic self to maintain the relationship, which feels like betrayal, or remain authentic and watch the relationship fail to develop real depth. Professional relationships face the same challenges. You want to work with people who share your vision and standards, but most colleagues operate at surface levels. Your desire for meaningful collaboration often goes unfulfilled in environments focused on politics rather than purpose. The solution isn't lowering your standards or accepting superficial connections. It's accepting that deep relationships are rare and worth waiting for, while developing the patience and skills to recognize authentic connection opportunities when they arise. The legacy without recognition battle. The ninth and final silent battle is the legacy without recognition battle, the profound struggle of building something meaningful and lasting while accepting that your contributions may never receive the acknowledgement they deserve, or worse, may be attributed to others who played lesser roles. This battle strikes at the heart of what drives most Sigma males, the desire to leave a positive mark on the world. You're not motivated by fame or external validation, but you do want your life's work to matter. You want to solve problems, create value, and contribute to human progress. The battle emerges when you realize that meaningful legacy and public recognition rarely align. History is filled with Sigma males whose greatest contributions went unrecognized during their lifetimes. Scientists whose discoveries were dismissed by their contemporaries. Inventors whose innovations were stolen by better-connected competitors, philosophers whose ideas weren't appreciated until centuries later, artists whose work was ignored while inferior but more marketable art received acclaim. You might spend decades perfecting a solution to an important problem, only to watch someone else receive credit for a simplified version of your work. You might build systems or processes that quietly improve thousands of lives, while louder, less effective initiatives receive all the attention and funding. This battle is particularly challenging in our current culture that prioritizes self-promotion over substantial achievement. Social media rewards those who market themselves effectively, not necessarily those who contribute most meaningfully. You watch people with inferior skills but superior networking abilities advance, while your deeper contributions remain invisible. 3D. Battle intensifies when you realize that explaining the significance of your work often diminishes its impact. Truly important innovations speak for themselves to those equipped to understand them, but most people lack the context to appreciate subtle but profound improvements. The legacy without recognition battle also involves watching your ideas be misunderstood, simplified, or corrupted as they spread through society. What begins as nuanced understanding becomes crude interpretation as it passes through people who grasp only surface elements. Yet this battle also represents the ultimate Sigma test. Can you continue creating meaningful value even when that value goes unrecognized? Can you find fulfillment in the work itself rather than in others' acknowledgement of it? Can you build a legacy based on actual impact rather than perceived importance? The answer lies in understanding that true legacy operates independently of recognition. The teacher whose students go on to change the world rarely gets credit for their transformation. The engineer whose improvements prevent disasters never gets celebrated for problems that didn't happen. The parent whose wisdom guides children to extraordinary lives remains invisible to history. Your legacy as a Sigma male isn't about being remembered. It's about the ripple effects of your authentic contribution to the world. Every problem you solve, every person you influence positively, every improvement you make creates waves that extend far beyond your ability to trace or control. The legacy without recognition battle teaches you that the most important contributions often come from those who care more about impact than credit, more about results than recognition, more about truth than applause. This is the Sigma way, building something meaningful not because the world will notice, but because it needs to be built. These 9 silent battles aren't weaknesses. They're the forging fires that create the strongest men on earth. Every Sigma male who has achieved greatness has walked through these psychological battlefields and emerged not unscathed, but transformed. The scars you carry from these internal wars are badges of honor that mark you as someone who chose the harder path, the authentic path, the Sigma path. Understanding these battles is the first step toward mastering them. Recognizing that your struggles are not unique to you alone, but shared by every Sigma male throughout history, connects you to a brotherhood that transcends physical presence. You are not broken for feeling these conflicts. You are awakened. Data. Sigma male who acknowledges these battles and develops strategies to navigate them becomes unstoppable. He transforms his isolation into strategic advantage, his burden of authenticity into unshakable confidence, and his internal struggles into external mastery. Remember, the world needs Sigma males now more than ever, in a society that increasingly rewards conformity and punishes independent thinking. Your willingness to fight these silent battles and maintain your authentic self is nothing short of heroic. If this video has opened your eyes to battles you've been fighting alone, then you need to join our community. Subscribe to Official Sigma Male and hit that notification bell, because understanding these battles is just the beginning. In our upcoming videos, we'll dive deep into practical strategies for winning each of these internal wars and emerging as the fully realized Sigma male you were meant to become. Your journey to Sigma mastery starts now.